some parents choose to home educate their children? Maybe you know a family who home educate your children and you've always wondered why, what made them homeschool their children when there are perfectly wonderful schools around the country already. Well, in this video, I'm going to be giving you 15 reasons as to why a parent or families out there choose to home educate. My name is Sophia and I'm the 1 in 1.3. Welcome to the family. Okay, let's kick off with number 1. Quarantine schooling was a reason why families chose to home educate their children. It was about fear, it was about all the panic, it was about all of the things that was going on all around us, that the country in the UK was forced into lockdown, were forced to do remote schooling, and parents had to home educate their children. Now, many parents, more than most, couldn't wait for the school gates to reopen so that they could send their children back to school. But there were a few, and actually statistics have shown many families who are home educating their children has now increased dramatically since pre-2020, but some families have chosen to continue with the home education style, but I've learned really about what home education is. And there's other reasons within that quarantine schooling period that parents may have decided that actually this is a better method for me to home educate my child. Maybe that parent had always thought about homeschooling, but that quarantine schooling kind of forced them into the zone of being with their children every day and working with their children on different skills, and they just decided that, you know what, I'm going to continue and explore the option of home educating my child at home. Number 2, freedom. The freedom to schedule your own time, to decide when your child goes to bed, whether they're going to have more late nights, whether they're going to wake up later in the mornings or go to bed later at night. Maybe they're going to do more things during the daytime, and is that flexibility of the schedule. When they first started homeschooling, maybe they saw children walking to school and remembered that actually we used to do that, but now that we're homeschooling, life just feels a bit more different for us. Not having to follow the 9 to 5 schedule, their children learn to be free and learn to be themselves. This leads me on to number 3, which is world schooling. World schooling is the opportunity to learn about the world around you. It's a combination of education and travel, access to learn about anything, everywhere. Families may want more freedom to travel, which they could not really do if their child was already at school. When children and families are off school at the same time, the price of holidays and the demand for holidays increase. But during term time, parents are able to pick dates that are not peak, and those travel costs are a lot cheaper than it would be had they gone on holiday around the time that everybody else goes on holiday. Number 4 could be one-to-one time. Homeschooling allows more one-to-one time, and studies have shown for a very long time that one-to-one learning is a really good type of learning because the child gets all the attention really, and a lot of the education can be poured out into the child, and they're able to have that one-to-one support of learning at their own pace. Maybe the parent has a child who has a special need and they can work slower with that child. Maybe they have a child who's more gifted and talented in different areas and they can work faster with that child. Maybe the child has a gift in one area, like maybe they're really good at chess or really good at piano, or they're going to be a pop star, for example, and the parents just decide that outside, this is the talent that we want to really hone in on and focus on. This is our one shot. Let's focus on this skill first and do the other subjects alongside that main gift that the child has. And one-to-one learning, one-to-one homeschooling helps with that decision. Number 5, flexibility. Maybe the parent's job means that the parent is not really with their child much at all. And if the child was homeschooled, they could be with their child a lot more during the school hours and be away from them during their working hours. And maybe they'll use like a babysitter or a family friend to look after them when they're at work and have that more dedicated time with them during the hours when they want to study with them. But it might look slightly different to what we're used to and might not fit into the 9 to 5 pattern. It's like shift work. Some jobs require shift work, such as people in the medical profession, like midwives, people that do lots of driving, have lots of driving jobs. The hours may be slightly different, and homeschooling can really help eradicate that and allow the parent to have more time with their children at home while they homeschool them. Number 6, maybe the child is performing badly at school. Badly as in their behaviour, badly as in their academics, and the parent can't find a way to get that child to behave better, and they may decide that being at home with them is a better way forward for their child and for them and for their whole family. family. Maybe the child is bunking school, like truancy from school, and they don't like school and they prefer not to be there. This applies more to older children, but obviously younger children could have that same sort of sense of not really wanting to be in the school environment. And maybe the parent has kind of given up on trying to force their child to go to school, but they realise that there's a power in keeping the child home and taking them to different groups that, build upon that child's interests. And homeschooling could be the better environment for the child, rather than having that constant battle of sending the child back to school when they absolutely hate it there. Please note, however, that if you are a parent watching this and it has not been your desire to homeschool your child, but you're feeling as though you're being forced into homeschooling by the child's school, please note that you do not have to home educate your child. And even if you're worried about your child having a permanent exclusion, even if your child gets expelled from school or excluded from school, the local authorities still have a duty of care to your child and has to provide your child with a school by day 6 of that exclusion. So just get some advice about that, because if you feel as though homeschooling is not right for you, it's not good for you to go into that direction, and you might want to explore your options a little bit more about what could happen with your child who has these certain needs, which is causing the child to be expelled from a school. But a school should not be forcing you into homeschooling. Homeschooling should be your choice. If you've chosen school for your child, then the school has a duty of care for your child. So just bear that in mind. Number 7, bullying. Maybe the child has been bullied at school for quite a long time, a bit like point number 6 really. It could be that the child has been bullied so badly that, again, they do not want to go to school, they are having anxiety, maybe they're having stomach problems, and they're just not coping with bullying. Now, some people feel as though if a child has been bullied, they should just kind of be thrown into the deep end, learn how to deal with it, as that is part of life. I'm not one of those parents. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel as though if a child is in an environment that they're not feeling protected and not feeling safe, the parent has the right to get their child out of that environment. In the same way that if a child was being hurt at home, you would not expect the child to stay in that environment at home. You want to get them out. And I think it's the same for schools. If there's a child being heavily bullied at school, not feeling like they want to go to school, maybe that parent has decided that actually homeschooling would be better for their child in order to build up their self-esteem, in order to teach their child on a different level, and in order to put their child first before everything else, especially if it's not been dealt with well by the school. Because obviously some things happen where it's not always bullying. It could be a thing where it's just a situation or a bit of conflict management that the child is not able to deal with. But bullying is something very, very different, and you'll know, and the parent would know, that if their child is literally constantly saying they don't want to go to school, constantly crying, maybe shutting down, there's many signs that would show that something's not quite right within the school. And I think that that's one of the reasons why a parent would decide to home educate their children or their child. Number 8, dissatisfaction. Maybe the parent feels dissatisfied with the school for their child and they do not want their child to attend that school anymore, but there's no other school place in the local proximity of where the child can attend. So the parent may decide as a short-term measure to homeschool their child while they're waiting for a better school place for their child to go to. Now obviously there's other ways that you can manage this. If it's like an issue with just a class teacher, the parent could go to the head teacher and ask for that child to be moved to another class, or for some kind of method to be established in order to resolve the issue. But in some situations that resolve never comes, and the parent just feels as though the right thing for their child and for their self is to remove that child from the school and wait for something better to come along. So they may homeschool on a temporary basis until that happens, or that might have been the reason why they started homeschooling, and they might decide to continue on the path of homeschooling basically. Number 9, to create a better learning environment for their child. Maybe they want their child to be more progressive thinkers, or maybe they want to take more ownership over their child's education. Number 10, private school. Maybe the parent wanted their child to go to a private school, but they couldn't afford the private education, and they found ways of presenting that same curriculum to their child but in a home education setting. That's another reason why they could homeschool. It reduces the cost of private schooling quite dramatically, but the child can still have tutors and can still go off and do different things that they would have done had they been in said school. So maybe they wanted a private education for their child, and homeschooling provides a private education for their children as well. Number 11. Maybe the parents felt called to homeschooling for a faith-based reason. Maybe they felt as though God had led them into this homeschooling choice, and because of that real strong desire and depth to homeschool their children as a calling, they've chosen to homeschool their children as in a faith-based environment. This could be any faith. Some people be from the Muslim faith, it could be from the Christian faith, the Jewish faith, humanistic faith. It's all about faith, and parents have different philosophies and different ideas about what it is that how they think their children should learn and the best way that they should learn, and being called into that is a stronger desire for a parent to homeschool their children too. Number 14, for socialization. This is quite a weird one because many people think that children who are homeschooled are not socialized, but parents may want their children to be socialized or immersed in a culture that is different from the culture that they're used to at school. They might want them to be taught around people of many different ages and may not agree with they may not agree with children learning within the same age group all the time. They may want them to be involved in more clubs and sports and activities that they feel as though is not really happening at school. That could be another reason why a parent may want to homeschool their child. And number 15, because they simply just feel as though they want more time with their children. Just more time. It's as simple as that. They feel as though they haven't got enough time with their children. The childhood years are growing, going so fast. They want to kind of rein it in a little bit, and they want to be there to see every development of their child, every growth point of their child. They don't want to miss any of those opportunities. So they feel as though 5 was too young to send their child to school, and they decided to stay back a little bit and to be there with their child to watch them develop in their learning and in their development in general. So there you have it. There are my 15 reasons as to why I think parents may homeschool their children. If you like these videos and you have a friend or a family member who may be interested in learning more about home education, maybe single parenthood, maybe about family life, then send them over to our channel, 1.3 Family. I'll speak to you soon.